It was incredible to work with Irrfan Sir.
Yeah.
And I felt like I'd met some Sufi soul. He was just beautiful inside out.
Thank you so much for coming to our studio, Dulquer. Very excited.
Thank you. No, it's my pleasure. I've been an ardent reader from a very long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love all the stories. I think it really connects you to people. And, you know, we have millions of stories in India like that.
Yeah.
You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you so much. And people in office are very excited. As you can see, it's like a live setup.
I love the office also.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Nobody has any real work here. So you have a great fan following and we're excited to hear your story.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So, you know, we were just wondering, like we were mapping your journey, we were doing research, and you've had such a vast amount of like experience in terms of not just the film industry, but like you started off by studying business management. Of course, your childhood days, you liked filmmaking and all of those things, but you studied business management, and then you even got a job as a business manager in Dubai.
Right.
And then you ended up in films. Then from the South to Bollywood. What do you think is that one thing that enabled you to find your calling or your purpose?
I think it's the constant searching, right? It's so I grew up around all these kids from business families, and I was always I was always a bit of an outsider because we moved to Chennai. I wasn't born there, so to kind of fit in with the kids I went to school with, I had to like be a part of their conversations, and so I started reading like, you know, Business Line and Financial Times and stuff, because invariably there would be some discussion. And I think just I went to school with some really great kids, and so I was always trying to be a part of different conversations, so like educating myself. And I never thought I had a chance in movies, because traditional Malayalam, there was no sort of concept of second generation actors having made it. So I was like, that is not an option. So the next thing that I was exposed to was this business all over. And, you know, so then I decided everybody's studying management, so I'm going to do the same thing. But even there, I realized that like it's marketing and like the creative side that was exciting for me. Like beyond a point, I thought numbers seemed very black and white. And I think, you know, movies have so much color. So subconsciously somewhere I was seeking it. And I kept trying to stay as far away as possible, because I had it like fixed in my head that anything I do in movies is going to be such a direct comparison with my dad, and like I would definitely ruin his name or something, because he's had such a stellar reputation as not just an actor, just how he conducts himself. And I was like, I don't want to be that kid who messes it up. But I think working 9 to 5, it was sort of mundane. It was sort of, I wasn't really motivated to go to work. But when I would do these like short films with some close friends, it never felt like work. I didn't care if I slept, I didn't care if I ate. So I think that's when I realized my calling has to be in cinema. Irrespective of what I do, I want to be around a film set. I found it really dynamic. There's so many people that participate in creating what we see. So yeah, eventually I think my biggest fear was that, you know, I would turn 40 and like regret not having tried.
Yeah.
And I just turned 40, so like I'm glad I tried.
And at what age did the shift happen, right? Like saying that, okay, let me give this a shot.
I was like 26, 27. I was in Dubai. I was working there. I was doing multiple things. I had a company in construction. I was doing some consulting. I had an ad agency. All of this I was doing, and I was like, I'm still not happy, you know. And I think in your 20s, I read this quote somewhere, in your 20s is the only time that you have the luxury of not knowing what you're going to do in life, where you're going to end up. And I think somewhere along the way, like this facing your fears thing really hit me hard. It was like, if I face it, like it gives me so much more confidence, and it's not as scary as I think it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, so earlier I would direct to not act to avoid comparison. And I was like, what is the most scariest thing for me to attempt in movies? And it would be to face the camera, to put myself out there. And I was like, I want to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you did do it, how did that feel?
It was scary. It was was a big like seminal moment in my life and even for my family, I think.
So it's such an interesting dichotomy because on one end you have a father who's obviously created this name like you were mentioning.
Yeah.
The second side, you finally realize that actually this is your calling.
Right.
And you have to kind of get into the pit field and deal with the comparison, right? That would inevitably happen. How did you overcome the fear of that comparison? Because it's a weight to carry.
It is. I think the one thing for I think my parents, especially my father, he's like, I can protect you from anything else, but anything that you do, I can't come and act for you. So whatever you do on screen, you're gonna get, criticized. There'll be brickbats. They will try to bring you down, especially even more so because you're my son or whatever, and I don't know how to protect you. And so I think that was of the biggest thing for, and now I understand as a parent, for him. But I was like, I also should have my own journey. I should also, and I need to like face it, see where it takes me. And it's not like it still doesn't bother me. Like there is always a faction of people, no matter what I do, they will still say, oh, it's only because of your dad, or like, because of your lineage. Or else you would never be here, or things like that. And I still read it, and it still irks me. But what I've realized is I love what I do, and no one can take that away from me. So you can say all that you want. I'm going to go in every day, give it my 100%, and really enjoy what I do.
So this 27, 28-year-old boy/man who's, taking this massive career decision of moving careers and moving into films. What then? What was the first thing that you did? Do you recall?
So I had that big sort of breakdown moment when I told my folks, this is what I want to do. And I was like, I am not happy doing what I'm doing, and I want to give this a shot. I know it's like life-changing, but this is what I want to do. But then my dad was like, I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm not going to call in favors. I'm not going to get you opportunities. If you want to do this, nobody helped me, so you're going to have to figure it out yourself. Yeah. So when I moved back from Dubai to India, and so the best thing about having siblings is that my older sister was really fundamental. She's like, okay, you want to do this? You better get on it. I'm like, but what do I do? How do I go about it? She's like, you've not done any kind of acting. So how about going to acting school? I'm like, okay. And then she went online, and then she found out courses at Bombay, and she's like, there's one starting on Monday, and I think this is like a Wednesday or something. She's like, I was like, what, up and go like this weekend? She's like, yeah, just go. You have some friends there, go stay with them, figure it out. And I did that. I showed up on Friday with like a demand draft to apply for acting school. Stayed with a friend for a month till I found an apartment. But all of that, again, as experiences, I think something I would never trade. I've made some great friendships from then, which have later on become, so many things in my life. Like a friend of mine who was there in that course now manages my endorsements. It's weird how things pan out.
Yeah.
And I don't think if she didn't want that day, just say do this, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
And then I got to meet a lot of people in Bombay. There was some inquiries where maybe you should try auditioning. And then I had like a eye infection and I had to go back. Or my career might have been a little different. I might have probably even started out here, even if it's doing bit roles or whatever I would have got. But I guess there's always fate and destiny at play. My eye infection was so serious that I had to fly back immediately and go to doctors in Chennai and Kochi until it was sorted. But then I think that's how I found my first film. I met a bunch of newcomers who were just trying to get a film made, and they couldn't get the dates of any famous actor. So they thought, what is the next best thing? Maybe we can go to some actors' kids and maybe one of them will listen to us. And I guess because I had no other baggage of scripts, it was the first thing I read. Yeah. And I liked it. I liked what they were trying to make. I loved that everybody was new. I was like, I won't be the only new person. So we'll all learn together, we'll all fumble, stumble together, pick each other up. And that's how my first film came about.
Yeah. The reason I ask this question is because so many people in their life go through this question in their head, right? Like, which way do I go? Like, I'm like, my inner calling is something, but the stability of a job, there's so much at play. So what advice would you give people who are in a similar phase in life, right, that you found yourself?
Anyone having these doubts, you live only once. Just take that leap.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it will change your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you won't know. I mean, you can still, I mean, you try, you fail, and you can still go back and find that job. Because it's not like you're no less qualified. And you'll always have the experience to boot. But don't not give it that shot. Yeah. Because time goes like that, you know. It's just, if you don't give it that shot, you can get to a certain age and then wish you'd done it differently.
And you took the leap. You had your first film. What was the process of the journey after?
So then it just kind of like snowballed. It as I was working in that first film, I was also, I think, at the right place at the right time.
Okay.
There was also this gap for maybe actors of my sort of age group in Malayalam, because we had these two big superstars, and you know they were also at a stage where now they can't play kids right out of college. Or it's also that phase in cinema where people are doing coming of age movies. So I ended up becoming the poster boy for that.
Yeah.
And so this first 4 or 5 films that I got, I genuinely believe it was just dumb luck. I was just in seeking experiences. I found my kind of cinema.
Your second film went on to win a National Film Award. In a lot of people's books, that's like ticking a, like there's a checklist, there's a box that I've ticked. But what did success mean to you? Like, what were you chasing at that point? Once you've entered, you found your purpose, and you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
But what was success?
No, I think the film for me was, it just became this amazing, timeless sort of landmark film, and I just felt really fortunate. So even when it won that award, I didn't think I had anything to do with it, and I think that was the best way to look at it, because suddenly I thought, oh my God, I've arrived, and my film won this award, and it's nationally recognized. It messes with your judgment, like you can't. And then where do you go from there? And you can't find those films every day or every year. So which is why, like, I keep saying, I'm like, I just want to be a part of the best films of the year. I don't care what my role is, or I always hero the film. Yeah. So I didn't think too much about it. I just went about, working on my next films. And to date, I know, even if I do a bad movie or if I get a bad review, that film, Ustad Hotel, can play on TV in Kerala, and it'll still endear me to the audience. They still see me as a member of their family, like I'm one of the kids in the house.
Yeah. You've also mentioned that you're very greedy as an actor. Your biggest fear is that you'll miss out on good roles.
Yeah.
So how is it that you kind of operate, given that it's not always that can happen, right?
Correct.
So is that a metric of success for you as well?
It's not about success. I mean, I think my greed, it's not even about the roles. I've never tried to do a film because the role really challenged me. Obviously, there have been those kind of films, but like I said, I keep heroing the film, and I'm like, is this something great that we're attempting? When something stems from authentic, sort of inspired writing, and they don't know, and they're shooting in the dark, but they're like, we're going to give it everything to try and make something special.
Yeah.
I am drawn to those kind of people. I do put out those energies. They do come to me, and I'm not greedy about my role or my screen time. But if I think there's a special film being made, I'm very happy when reaching out.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, think of me for anything. You want me to do a cameo? Can I be a part of it in some way? I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
But like year end, the best films list comes out. If mine's not on it, I'm just like, what am I doing with my life?
And was Bollywood something that you'd earmarked as, okay, this is a next step in my career?
No, I don't think. I was not even thinking that far. I was thinking very much on what am I doing next, what's my next film. But I've always been kind of going with what comes my way. I think when Karwaan came my way, I just loved everything about it.
Yeah.
I felt like it had soul. I loved the people that were making it. Again, I formed some great friendships during the course of that film. It was incredible to work with Irrfan Sir.
Yeah.
And I felt like I'd met some Sufi soul. He was just beautiful inside out.
Yeah. What are some of your happiest memories on that film set with him?
I think that I felt like he was really living every moment of his life. You know, he was really alive. And he's not thinking about how this comes across or how he's performing. There's no sort of fear of judgment.
Yeah.
You know, he felt really free. So even as a performer, I know he was offered the protagonist's role, and he said, "No, I want to play Shaukat," because he's like, he identifies with that role, and he can do anything at that point, right? Where he was in his career, and he chose to do that role. And when I came on board, he really stood by the fact that I'm the protagonist. But on shoot days, you don't see him prep. He's always there, and he's not greedy, or he doesn't try to overpower the other actors. He's happy doing his thing. He gives you a lot of space. He gives you a lot of confidence. And also for him, I think shooting in that whole belt of India, where we drove from Ooty to Kerala, it was, maybe it's not like shooting up north for him. So he had a little more freedom. So he was experiencing everything. So I remember this one day, he finished shoot a little early. And so there's, what we call like a vallakaran, like a lone fisherman on a canoe. And in the backwaters, then we're shooting. And then next thing I look, and he's gone off with him. And they've gone, and they've gone fishing or whatever, and he's come back. So I loved all of that. And he would ask me, he's like, who are some of the filmmakers in Malayalam? Do you know Mr. Srinivasan? I've read about him when I was in, film school, and I'd love to call and talk to him. And if there's some filmmakers that I'd connect with them, and maybe I can come up with a film with them. And I'm like, dude, you're Irrfan Khan. You don't have to go to anyone.
They'll come to you.
Exactly. And I'm like, I don't think our filmmakers in Malayalam were thinking that they could approach him.
Yeah.
So I tried my best to connect him to as many people, and just that love for cinema, and again that greed to do good work, work with good filmmakers, irrespective of where they're from. I was literally like a spectator on that set. I was just watching him.
Yeah.
I was like, front row audience. I have the best seats in the house. I'm just going to watch this star perform.
What's the biggest thing you learned from him?
I think that where he was living every moment, to the fullest.
Yeah.
And seeking experiences, and seeking, and not wanting any validation of any sort, and just being that free.
Yeah. And is that something that you've managed?
I think I still have a while, not a while to go. It's more like I should be less harsh on myself. I think I'm overly critical. I think I'm very bogged down by, criticism and what people say. It does drive me. I think I'm always out to prove detractors wrong. But to be that free would be something that I would love to get to.
Yeah. And are you a spiritual person? Do you engage in inner reflection, or is that something that you don't?
I think as you get older, it finds you.
Okay.
Because when you're younger, you want stability in life. You want to find your calling in life. You want to find your career. You want to find a life partner. You want peace at home, health for your family and stuff. But then as you get older, that changes, right? And I'm trying to navigate through life. I do feel like I think the stuff I read maybe, or the knowledge I seek out is how do I do this as healthy as possible? How do I maintain my mental health, my peace?
I asked you this question because we came across something you said about your wife, where you said there was almost like a celestial sign.
Yeah.
You should marry her.
I guess I do. I mean, I've not maybe broken it down, as in I have my faith. I believe in God. I'm moderately religious, but I do look for signs. Weirdly, the number 3 for some reason, like if not in the sense like not numerology, but like if something comes to me
In threes.
in threes, like 3 times they asked me, and I'm like, what? Maybe there's something there, you know? Maybe I'm supposed to do this film. We went to the same school, but never. As in, she was way my junior. When I was in the 12th, she was like in the 7th or something, little kid ponytail. So it'd be really wrong to look at her like that. But years later, obviously, like I was. So all of this happened in the same year. This finding my first film and meeting her. So it's like in 1 year, my life just flipped.
Everything aligned.
Everything aligned, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I saw her out 3 times randomly, and I'm like, why does she keep popping up? And we're both from Chennai, and I never see this girl out. And suddenly, in the span of that 1 week, I saw her out thrice. I'm like, intervention. So like again, like taking the leap of faith. What's the worst that can happen? She might not be interested.
So then, how did you?
Oh, I did it old school. I sent her a message on Facebook.
Okay.
I was like, hey. So I literally worded it like that. I was like, hey, I know they're looking to get you married. They're looking to get me married. Do you want to meet for a cup of coffee and see if there's something there?
How sweet. How refreshing.
Yeah, and I was like, if there isn't, we'll just be 2 schoolmates who met randomly, and that's fine. Yeah. And she was like, okay, sure, let's grab a cup of coffee. And and I almost, I think, knew as like from the time I started seeing her out. So I think I went into that coffee being like pitching this whole idea to her. So I think she was quite amused by it.
So the idea was that I've seen you 3 times.
I didn't even go into all that. I was like, hey, we're from Chennai, we're from the same school, we have so many things in common, we have so many friends. I think this could go somewhere. And I guess she was really young. I don't think she knew what she was getting into. I wasn't an actor then. And so I think, like my mom always says she married a lawyer, and that if my dad is an actor, she would have married him. And I don't think my wife knew what it means to be married to an actor. They have no connection to the film industry whatsoever. And it's been difficult in the sense the amount of time I'm away from home and how much she holds fort. It's familiar to me because I've seen my mother do it. But I know it was new for her, and she was really young when we got married. But she's, done a stellar job. She's really held it together. She's always been supportive. But it is tough for to be married to actors because we're like gypsies,
But how do you manage that balancing act, right? Especially since you've become a father, and that role obviously becomes more important.
Because it's your need, right? It's your need more than your child, I think, because kids adapt.
Yeah.
But it's like I have so much FOMO of every thing that happens with her, every taking her first step or speaking her first word, and I want to be there for everything. And I want to be that regular like dad that goes and picks her up from school or is there for like parent-teacher meetings, because my dad could never make it for all that. And so I personally, I put in the effort, and I can literally see the difference in my child every time I leave and I come back. I can see her cheeks are going down, or like her legs are looking longer. So that's tough. That is tough.
Yeah. And it's such a parallel universe, right? Like when you're at home with this family man, and then you're on set. You were quoted as the most desirable man.
Which I've never understood. But,
but it was there. You must be having crazy fan encounters. Any that come to your mind?
It's very sweet, actually. Like so it's never been like crazy per se. But I do receive a lot of love, and I'm very grateful for it. And
how has it been for your wife? Because she married somebody who had not even done. I mean, was about to do his first film.
I don't think she's ever fully accepted that I'm all of these things. Yeah. Which is great because.
How does she react to most desirable matches?
She doesn't give it much importance. She's like, I know what you're like at home. Like you're groomed, and you have a team, and they do your hair and all this stuff. And when I'm at home, I'm just beached on a couch. I'm gruffy, and so she's like, "This is most desirable man right here."
Take a photo and upload it.
But it's good. I mean, I think she's always there to keep me grounded.
So, what are you like with friends? What's a typical day with friends?
I love to converse. Like I love to just have conversations. It can be the same stuff over and over again. It can be the same jokes we cracked in school, and I never get tired of it. If we're in Kochi, we're with my parents, and I think my folks are also a lot more. My dad likes young people more than people his age. He's always like just engaged better with younger people. I think that's why he stays so young.
Yeah.
So it's always a full house. There's always just people there, and we're all just drinking coffee or eating a good meal and just talking about everything. And the same thing. I mean, I've moved to Chennai now for my daughter's school, and I like a full house always. And my daughter's also like, she's like, is nobody coming today? So yeah, it's easy. Like I like it like that. I do love travel with friends. I have some set groups that I travel with because we're good travelers. Sometimes
you don't get on.
No, when you travel with, when you realize, oh my God, my friend's a jackass. Like, he's very difficult to travel with. There are people who can't agree on what to eat, where to eat. They just say no to everything. And you waste so much time doing things like that.
Yeah. And how's it like with your father now? That now it's actor to actor. When you're in maybe perhaps discussion of your roles.
I think when I was younger, I think he had the same fear as me that I might not amount to anything. So I think now, he's quietly proud. Like he doesn't really say things to my face, but it's there. Like I can tell in certain things that he says or conversations he has with his close groups. I can tell that he's very proud. And now we speak it very as friends and as equals. Which is the most delightful thing. So even now, if I go back home to Kochi, and I sometimes go for work, like I sometimes go for brand shoots or if I'm shooting a film, and Miraj's always calling, and then he suddenly switches to dad mode. He's no longer actor. He's like, when are you coming home? I'm like, they said 8 p.m. It's like, at 8, he'll be like, it's 8 o'clock. I'm like, it might be another hour or two. Like 10, he's like, where are you? Because the only thing he wants to do is for us to come back and just
spend time together
on the dining table and just finish dinner and just talk. And he just loves to catch up with me till we literally are all like falling asleep.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, he's and that's I think his big joy now.
Yeah.
Just sitting and just catching up with me. So I do try to find that time, but I think for us boys to get to that stage with our fathers, especially in India, it's a big. I feel like it's kind of an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's a moment.
It's a moment. Yeah. So I'm genuinely enjoying that and very, it's can't ask for more.
Amazing. And we were discussing offline. I just saw the trailer to Guns and Gulaabs, and it looks amazing. It looks so wild, and the one-liners are very catchy. How was that experience working with Raj and DK, Rajkumar? So many talented.
Like, it was amazing. It was. I mean, I think everybody you see in the trailer is like it is such a fun ride.
Yeah.
And I think shooting it was like that. I think Raj and DK are great guys. Like they're so fun to work with, but also they're so good at what they do. Yeah. So it's very collaborative. You're very at ease. They're very open to improvisation. Like you can have suggestions, you can try things, and they will listen to everything. But as directors, they know where to take it. When to take good ideas, and just really sharp, really witty. I think a lot of the humor is them. And that whole world. I think when I heard the idea, I kind of fell in love with this world they've created, right? This whole fictional town called Gulaabganj. But what I wasn't prepared for when I got to set was all of the amazing actors. Of course, there's Rajkumar, there's Gulshan and Adarsh and all of them, and Satish Kaushik sir and everything. But every supporting character, when you walk into a frame, and everyone is so convincing, so believable.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like they were in costume or hair and make, nothing. Like I was like, it's like time travel, man. I've been transported to.
Like I'm actually there.
Yeah, to like 89, 90, and I'm there. I'm like, I could fully believe those scenes. I just had to like react. And if I prep my lines enough and not think of my lines, and I fully was alive in that show because of just the world creation. It was amazing.
Yeah. And are you attached to the character?
I love that role. I mean, I know it's an ensemble, and sometimes people are like, why aren't you just playing the protagonist and everything? I'm like, I play the protagonist and everything. But I loved this character Arjun's role. I think when you watch the show, you don't know where he's going. It's great. Yeah.
It's like erratic.
Yeah, and it's got a whole family angle to it, which I really enjoyed. I have a 16-year-old daughter in the show.
Oh, wow.
And so I was very curious about, when Mariam turned 16, like what do I speak to her about? And, you know, how does showing my affection to my 6-year-old and when she's 16 change as a father? So those are all the thoughts in my head, and how I bonded with Suhani, the actor who played Jyotsna, the daughter. So I really enjoyed all of that. Like, you know, I think those are the times where you kind of have to think so much as a character, but it's also kind of putting yourself there. Like so in my head, I'm like, I'm playing Arjun, but I understand being a dad.
Like the sentiment.
But I don't understand being a dad for a 16-year-old. So how does that work? How do I find that? So that was great. I think we really bonded. So she always sends, like on Father's Day, like, you know, Suhani sends me a message saying, Happy Father's Day, real dad. It's really cute.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
When she gets her grades, she's like, I scored this much in my 12th, and I got into my first choice college. And
wow.
I have this little dynamic with her. It's very cute.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, we're going to go to the next segment. It's called Things We Couldn't Find About You on Google.
Okay.
So did a lot of searches.
But now they will.
Now they will. Yeah. So we'll add them. What's an unknown skill of yours?
I don't know if that's on Google. I make a great burger.
Oh, really?
It's a skill
Just burgers or like cooking generally?
So I mean, I used to cook in college, and then I obviously didn't after. But I think lockdown, you know, you denied so many of your favorite dishes that I started randomly just YouTubing burger videos. And I was like, and I kept watching. I was like, maybe I can do this at home. Like, how do I figure this out? So I kept experimenting, and you know, I make it from scratch. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Your first biggest purchase?
My first big purchase. I think when I first started working, I started collecting scale model cars, and it went out of control. As in, when I was living in Dubai, every cupboard, I ran out of cupboard space. Finally, it was like all over the house. It was like living in a shop.
Of all the roles you've played, which character is most you?
I think there's a bit of me in everything, but I think there's something about Ustad Hotel where, I mean, he has 4 sisters, I have 1 sister. But there's something about that role that really, I was like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is, I think just, it always has to be with, one is obviously work. Second is, I just want everyone around me to be healthy. Work-wise, I don't want to, I want the best filmography.
Yeah.
You know, I think of the 35 odd of how many films I've done, I think 95% of them are great films. And I don't want to ever, I don't want that ever drop.
Yeah, to dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the one person you go to for advice? Any kind of advice?
I think my father, like, it's not even advice, like sometimes it's just to, when I'm like, you know, if I've had a bad day, or sometimes I'm trying to like figure out, like, you know, I like this idea, this idea, this idea, I want to do all of them. And he's like, so do all of them.
Yeah.
You know, just as a sounding board. And he does the same with me, which is incredible. Like, if he tells me, like, man, today was a long day for no reason, he'll be like, so I heard the script, and this is the idea. What do you think? And
it's like a sounding board.
Yeah, it's sweet that, like, so everybody thinks, you know, that my dad picks my scripts or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's another accusation I keep getting. I'm like, reading scripts is a big task in itself.
Yeah, it's like long.
Yeah, taking narrations. All of this takes hours of work. Right?
Yeah.
And he has enough on his plate. I have enough. It's very difficult to do that for somebody else.
Yeah.
But what we do is, like, you know, when we filter certain things, we like, if I've heard 10 and I like 3 and he's done the same, we do sound it off each other, because also we're trying to understand the opinions of different demographics.
Yeah.
You know, when he's doing something, he wants a younger person perspective. If I'm doing something, like I want his perspective on it.
Right. Understand.
Yeah.
And what do you do in your spare time?
Being beached on the couch is quite a common thing. But I think I just like to be around people I love. And I don't have to have an agenda, I don't have to have a plan. I'm okay to go with everybody's plan. I'm okay to do nothing. But just, I need to be around
People.
all the people that I miss when I'm at work.
A rumor about you that's not true.
I don't know what the rumors are about me.
That your father picks your
So it
script.
picks my script, yeah. But I mean, if you want to believe that it makes you happy, that's fine. So, you know, sometimes people like to simplify things. And I've realized, like, a lot of the times, you say mean things about people to feel better about yourself, or feel like you're better than them in some way.
Yeah.
And if that makes you happy, yeah, by all
Go
means,
for it.
go for it.
Amazing. So my last question. In one of your interviews, you said, you know, when people say you can't do it, the more you want to do it. And how has that mindset come to you?
But I pose this question to everyone. Doesn't that work for everybody? You know, isn't that when you think you really want to do it? Like somebody says, you can't stick to that diet. Or like, no dude, you will quit the gym in 2 days. You should not be saying that to anybody. At all. You know, you should be lifting them up. Like, go for it, you can. But sometimes I think when somebody tells you, but for me this works both ways. If somebody is telling me to do something, I'm like, no, I won't do it. You know, like it has to come from me. And so you tell me that I can't do something, I'm gonna, you know, bloody well try and do it.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't, that's fine. We both know now.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna at least give it a shot.
Sure, yeah.
To convince myself that hey, either I could, or at the least that I tried.
Yeah. But you know, the fact that you said this comes from a little bit of self-belief. So what advice would you give people who are struggling to have that belief in themselves? That I can't. Yeah, you're probably right.
You know, I think the first thing is to do. We have to keep doing. Like a lot of the times, we're only thinking of the ifs and buts and what happens and what if I fail. And so much goes in just thinking. You know, but if you're doing and you keep doing, and that's the only thing that works. I genuinely believe that. Like the films can work, the films can fail, but as long as I keep working, I keep doing, it will balance out somewhere.
Yeah.
But if I get so scared from failure and then I don't sign another film because oh my God, I'm trying to find the best film, and until that film comes, until all boxes are ticked, it has the best of everything. And the time that I spend not doing is unhealthy for me.
Yeah.
It's not good for my mental health, and it will affect your work, your career, your life. So I think less thinking, more doing. So I think first and foremost is go out there and do it. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been
It was lovely. It was
such a pleasure. It was great chatting.
Thank you. You know, whenever you guys have reached out to me and I'm like, oh my God, there are some genuine stories out there of people that have faced real adversity and real hardship in life. And I've had a fairly like privileged, blessed life, and I'm like, me coming out here and telling that story, I feel like takes away from so many of theirs.
Not at all.
So I was like, no, I don't think I should do this. But having said that, I genuinely like had a great time just being here. I think you guys got me thinking in a way that other interviews don't.
Thank you. That's amazing. That's a great compliment.
Thank you.
And really excited for the show.
Do watch it. I think
Of
you'll all
course.
have a great time. It's a nice departure from Ram of Sita Ram, but he's still a romantic. So I think really, yeah, you'll have fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. Thank you all for being the best community, and I'll see you soon.